Before I start this season preview, talk about the other LA team, which is the Galaxy. I want to first apologize to Galaxy fan in advance that unfortunately I used the infamous green marker. And for those of you that don't know what the infamous green marker is the marker that I never use when I put stuff on the board because green text on the board is incredibly hard to read if you watch it on a video. And the reason why I had to use green text here is because I was going to use my blue marker, and I think I told you this when I did the FC Dallas season preview video, where for whatever reason my blue marker, it didn't work when I use it, and I was going to go to Target to buy a new one, which yesterday I did, until I realized I didn't, because after I finished shopping there, I realized I forgot to buy those markers. So gotta make sure that after when I finish this video that I'm gonna have to make a quick errand to Target to buy those markers, because there are still gonna be some teams that's gonna be wearing blue. And now you realize that most of the text that I put on the board in these season preview usually matches the color the teams wear, and the same goes with the shirt and the color that I wear, where there are some teams that I don't have their jerseys, and the Galaxy is one of them. So in substitution of that, I basically wear the color of their team jersey, which is why I am wearing white right now. But with that being said, let's talk about the Galaxy, and let's talk about last season, where they finished with a record of 16-3-15 and had 51 points. They scored 58 goals last season, which was definitely a lot of goals that they scored, but they also conceded 59 goals with a goal differential of -1. And to be fair, the 59 goals they conceded is definitely not as much as the previous year, where they conceded 60 plus goal, and that I would kind of maybe consider that low in terms of how bad this defense was last season. I thought it would be higher than the 59 goals that they conceded, but that's the amount that they conceded last season. And speaking of last season, in terms of their summary from last season, they finished 5th in the Western Conference. They got eliminated in the second round of the playoffs, which was against LAFC in that entertaining El Trafico. And they got knocked out in the round of 16 in the US Open Cup. Now, some of the addition that they have made during this offseason, obviously the biggest acquisition that they made this offseason is getting Chicharito, but some other addition that they made in the offseason include bringing Daniel Acosta, Sasha Kleshin, Alexander Katai, Emiliano Insu, Eric Lopez, and Nick Dupont. Now, in terms of the player that left the club and are out during this offseason, there is definitely a bunch of guys that is no longer with this team. First of all, you got Chris Pontius, who unfortunately retired this offseason. Dave Romney, who is now with Nashville. Zlatan, who is now with AC Milan. Fabio Alvarez, I believe he's now with Pumas down in Liga MX. Diego Palanta, Julinho, João Pedro, Thomas Hiller-Ars, Servindo Carrasco, Matt Lamson, who is with Columbus right now, Hugo Arellano, Oro Utuna, who's with Chivas right now in Liga MX, Roman Alessandrini, and Jurgen Skalvik, that is no longer with this team. Now, in terms of the goal scored for this Galaxy team, obviously it's going to be Chicharito, although I could have maybe put a dash and say that it could also be Pavone too, because last season Pavone did provide most of the goals beside Zlatan scoring 30 plus goal, and was really the main goal scored for this team. And I think he scored like pretty much more than half of the team goals from last season, which just shows you how good Zlatan was last year, and that it's kind of sad that they weren't able to keep him another year, but knowing the fact that they feel like they're going to bring another big name DP heading into this season, they of course have to unfortunately sacrifice him. And right now he's still doing well with AC Milan, and I think he even scored a couple of goals already with the club. I'm not quite sure, did he score a goal in that Milan derby against Inter Milan, but he's doing very well right now with AC Milan. For any Galaxy fan wondering how Zlatan is doing in Italy. Playmaker for the Galaxy, I'm gonna say it's gonna be Christian Pavone because he led the team last season in terms of assists. MVP, same thing. I'm gonna go with Christian Pavone, although I could easily put Chicharito in there because he's gonna be the goal scorer and he's gonna be the guy that will be providing most of the goal. I just think Pavone probably deserve it more because he's the playmaker and he can also score goals for this team. Now, surprise package, I'm actually going to put Sebastian Lletget, even though he's not really kind of a surprise package. We know how decent he is in terms of being a creative midfield player, but I'm just going to put him on there just because, I don't think a lot of people appreciate how good he is and that he could really be a good second option in terms of being a playmaker of this team. I mean, a lot of people talk about Pavone and Jonathan Dos Santos as the main playmaker of this team, but not a lot of people talk about Sebastian Lletget, who can also be a very decent playmaker on this team. Now, what do I like about the Galaxy? Well, getting Chicharito in replacement for Zlatan is certainly one of the things that I like. And I know I said before that I question whether or not if Chicharito can do well with this team, but the more that I think about it, I think he can definitely do well with this team, and especially with the supporting cast that he has on the attack. I think he should have enough in terms of score more than 10 goals, and especially if Pavone is going to be just like last season, where, last season we kind of had a kind of hint of seeing how good Pavone could be with the Galaxy, and that for half a season he's already performed very well and already become a player that I think if he does get a full season, he could be really right up there in terms of the assist chart in MLS or even the goal scoring in charge of this team. So can't wait to see this Pavone and Chicharito kind of combination, and that, I think Chicharito, who I don't know he's going to score as many goals as Zlatan does. I mean, it's going to be a pretty big tall order for Chicharito to say that he can score around 25 or 30 goals like what Zlatan done. But if he can at least score half of what Zlatan did, I think it's considered a relatively success. And that, again, there's a lot of expectation that he, of course, needs to perform because the Galaxy paid him a lot of money to do it. And we shall see if he can, of course, do that. Now, the one big question I have with this Galaxy team is obviously the defense. And I know I've been bashing on the Galaxy in terms of their defense ever since a couple of seasons ago, but in many ways it is true. I mean, their defense has always been a weakness, although recently I heard that they are rumored to get that Independiente center back Alan Jara, and I heard that deal is almost finished and that they are almost confirming that deal is going to went through. So they, of course, can get that deal done and made him an official player of the Galaxy, that will definitely help the back line. Although, do I think, is that going to be enough of a signing where it's going to drastically change this back line and make this back line instantly good? No. Because when you look at this offseason, and especially, they've been trying. The Galaxy, there's no doubt that they've been trying their best in terms of addressing this backline issue. But this offseason, besides getting Insua and potentially Jara onto this team, they haven't really made any other acquisition in terms of the defense. And that they also lost a couple of pieces of the defense in Chris Pontius and Dave Romney, and that they still haven't really replaced them in terms of both of these players being kind of like a depth player for this team. And if you look at the depth chart in terms of the defense that the Galaxy had, yeah, there's a lot of question mark in that, and that you could say that most of those players that is in the depth chart of the defense was the same player that a lot of Galaxy fan was just pulling their hair every time they see them defend last year, and just kind of drive them absolutely nuts with the way that they concede silly goals. So yeah, I mean, the defense, even though they tried to address did this offseason by adding another 2 new pieces into this defense, I still think they still have a long way to go to try to fix this defense. Like, unless if somebody on this defense can actually start to step up, and that some of these guys that, you know, they've been having poor season in the last couple of years, but all of a sudden this season they can start to maybe turn up and actually know the basic of defending, then I can believe that this team is going to actually be much better in terms of defense. But until then, I really think the Galaxy is going to be relatively similar to last season, where they're going to have a very top-heavy attack and that they should have no problem in terms of scoring goals. But the problem is they're going to have a problem in terms of keeping goals from ending up into their own net. And that, don't be surprised if the Galaxy, where last season we saw a couple of games where they won like 4-3 and 3-2, and that there's going to be a lot of high-scoring game, which, you know, for a neutral, I think if you are a neutral MLS and you want to probably really watch a team on a regular basis and maybe even support them, then the Galaxy might be a good option, because they are a team that tends to be very adventurous, and that you are expect to have a very roller coaster ride of not only seeing them score goals, but also being very angry the fact that they make some stupid mistake at the back and concede goals, and that it's just going to be a roller coaster ride for most of the game. So yeah, there you have it. That is pretty much it for the season preview of LA Galaxy. And again, I do apologize for half of this board. I put some green text here, and when I do the Seattle Sounders and Portland Timbers season preview, those are not going to be in green text, even though they of course wear green as their primary color. I'll probably maybe use black as a opposition to that, or maybe use red for Portland, because their women's team, the Portland Thorns, wear red, and since they are from the Rose City, red would definitely make sense to have the Portland Timbers put as the theme. And for the Sounders, I'll just probably go with black, because their secondary color is black and pink. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be planning to do. For those wondering, what happened if I get to the Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders, and since you're going through these season preview and you try to put the color of the text match to the teams that is wearing the kit, what's going to happen when the Sounders and the Timbers are here? That are you going to put green text? And as I said, the answer is no. I will have a second option to trying to replace them, and I of course just mentioned that. But either way, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I of course will see you guys next time.